Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready to dive into something pretty profound, but also like surprisingly relevant to, life today.
I'm intrigued. Let's do it.
All right, so we're tackling Genesis 1.4, that whole God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness bit.
Ah, classic.
Right. But we've got these sources that take it beyond just like the Sunday school version. They're really digging into how this verse, even though it's, thousands of years old at this point,
At least,
how it still matters for the choices we make, even like right now.
talk about a timeless topic, right?
Yeah.
Light and dark, good and evil, that's been the source of debate, since the dawn of time.
And storytelling. I mean, every book, every movie, there's that push and pull.
Exactly. So this verse, it's like foundational to how we understand the world.
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear what your sources have to say.
Well, they point out how light has always been this big symbol across cultures, right? It's knowledge, it's truth, it's all the good stuff.
Right.
But then, and this is what I found so interesting, they connect it to the idea of making choices, especially now when we're bombarded with information and opinions from like every direction.
Oh, tell me about it. It's information overload out there. Makes it hard to know what to trust,
Exactly. So it's like, how do we even know what good is anymore? How are we supposed to make good choices with all this noise?
It's a question for the ages, isn't it? But that's where I think this verse, simple as it seems, offers a really interesting perspective. Because it's not just saying, okay, light exists. It's highlighting this deliberate act of separation, like a conscious decision.
Oh, I see.
Almost like a blueprint for discernment, for figuring out what lines up with that inherent goodness and what doesn't.
Okay, now that you put it that way, it does make you think about how much intention goes into making choices.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, I've struggled with that feeling of like analysis paralysis, too much information, too many choices, and I just freeze up.
Oh, I've been there.
But this idea of actively separating, choosing light, it's empowering. Gives you back some control,
It is. It's like we're not just passive bystanders in our own lives.
Yeah.
We actually get to choose. If we connect this to a modern context, think about all the decisions we make every day, the news we read, the shows we watch, the people we spend time with. It's all a choice.
And each choice is like a chance to invite in more light.
Exactly. And to move towards what feels true, what feels good, what aligns with those deeper values. It's really about being intentional, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. Instead of just letting ourselves be like bombarded by everything, we can curate our own experience a little more.
100%. And that's actually where the source's emphasis on moral and ethical awareness comes in.
Yeah.
Because they argue this verse isn't about giving us like this rigid set of rules to follow.
Yeah.
It's more like a compass.
I like that. Yeah, a compass. So it's less about here's what's right and wrong and more about...
Here's how you figure that out for yourself.
Exactly.
It's about asking those tough questions, checking in with yourself.
Which, that's got to be an ongoing process, right? Not just a one-time thing.
Absolutely. This isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a lifelong journey of constantly evaluating, constantly asking yourself, is this choice, this action, is it leading me toward light, toward what feels good and true? Or is it, perpetuating something harmful?
It makes you realize that even like those small everyday choices, they matter too, right?
They really do. It's not always about these big, grand gestures. Sometimes it's the little quiet choices that make all the difference.
Totally. Like what we choose to focus on, how we react to a frustrating situation. It all adds up.
It's true. And that actually reminds me of something the source talks about, this idea of the ripple effect.
Oh, yeah.
They have a whole section on modern applications. Have you gotten to that yet?
I have. It's fascinating. They break it down into a few different areas, starting with, get this, relating to young people. And I was like, okay, how relevant can this ancient text really be to, a teenager today dealing with like social media and all that pressure?
Right.
But actually, it makes a lot of sense because they talk about how young people now are growing up in this world that's just saturated, like we were saying, with information. And so much of it is conflicting or just straight up negative.
Right.
And it's got to be overwhelming trying to figure out like your own values, your own path in the middle of all that noise.
For sure.
But then this idea of choosing light, like actively seeking out the good and then trying to align your actions with that. It's powerful.
It is. It's like giving them a framework, a way to make sense of this really complex world.
Yes. And it speaks to that, I don't know, that human need for purpose, to feel like we're part of something bigger.
Absolutely.
Which, speaking of purpose, that kind of leads into the second area they talk about, personal development.
Okay.
And this is where they connect this idea of choosing light to the choices we make for our own growth, our own well-being.
So it's like an inner and an outer thing, right? Like
Yeah.
the light we bring to the world starts with the light we cultivate within ourselves.
Yes, like, are we surrounding ourselves with people and experiences that lift us up, that challenge us to grow? Or are we, stuck in these patterns that kind of keep us in the darkness, so to speak?
And that makes me think about even what we choose to consume,
Yeah. Mm.
the books we read, the shows we watch, even the food we eat. It all nourishes us
Yeah,
in a way, right?
that's so true. Are we feeding our minds and hearts with stuff that resonates with, like, truth and beauty? Or are we just constantly exposing ourselves to, like you said, that negativity and darkness? And I've totally noticed a difference in my own life when I'm more mindful of that.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Yeah,
It really does impact your whole outlook,
it does.
your well-being.
Yeah. And then they take this idea even further in the last area they cover, which is influence on society. So it
Yeah.
goes from, like, the individual to our own personal growth and then outward again to this bigger impact.
Yeah.
It's that ripple effect again, right? Our individual choices, even if they seem small, can contribute to this bigger wave of positive change.
Right. Like a chain reaction.
Exactly. And what I thought was interesting is that they specifically call out the role of young people in this.
How so?
Well, they talk about how historically young people have been on the front lines of so many social movements, pushing for justice, equality, a better future.
Which makes sense. They're full of hope, full of energy. They haven't become jaded yet.
They still believe things can change, and that energy, it's contagious.
It really is. It's inspiring.
It is. Like, that quote, be the change you wish to see?
Yeah.
This is that in action. It all starts with those individual choices, those daily acts of, like, aligning ourselves with what we say we believe in. It's almost like this verse is saying, hey, don't underestimate those everyday choices,
Right.
Like, just because it's not this huge life-altering decision
Right.
doesn't mean it doesn't matter. All those little moments where we choose to move towards the light, they add up.
They really do.
Mm.
And that's what makes this ancient text so relevant, right? It's not just a story from the past.
Right.
It's like this ongoing invitation to be part of something bigger, something good.
I love that. It's hopeful, especially, when the world can feel kind of heavy sometimes.
It's a good reminder that we're not powerless. Even when things feel chaotic, we still get to choose.
Exactly. There's always that choice to move towards the light, even if it's just a little bit at a time. And it all comes back to that image, right, of separating light from darkness, bringing order to chaos.
It's like this foundational principle that it keeps echoing through time.
Yeah. And we each have a part to play in that.
We really do. We're not just, along for the ride. We're co-creating this whole thing. Every choice, every action, it all contributes.
That's a powerful thought. So for anyone listening who might be, I don't know, feeling a little lost right now, maybe this is a good place to start. Just remember, you've got the power to choose light in even the smallest moments.
And those small choices,
Mm-hmm.
they have the power to make a world of difference.
This has been fantastic. Thanks so much for taking this deep dive with me and for, sharing all your insights on this.
My pleasure. It's been a great conversation.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this journey. Remember, you have the power to choose light, to be a source of good in the world. What's one choice you can make today to bring in a little more light, even in a small way? Keep that question close. Until next time, stay curious, deep divers.